What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another video. In today's video, we're going to go through a complete dive into top-down analysis. It's very good to do these types of videos to just give ourselves a refresher. And I'm going to remind you guys of the things that I look for, the things that I've retired, right? Things I don't necessarily use in my top-down analysis anymore, and why I look for what I look for when I'm doing my top-down analysis and how it actually prepares me to be successful in my entries. All right, let's get into the charts, guys. So naturally, when we talk about top-down analysis, very important to even understand, like, why is it necessary in the first place? Like, why don't I just open up the charts? I see the market is dropping. Why didn't I just get in? Well, obviously, top-down analysis gives us some kind of understanding on what's going on in the market, right? Meaning from a daily perspective to a 4-hour perspective to an hour-by-hour perspective, right? All the way down. What is the market doing most recently? What has the market been doing in the past hour? What has the market been doing in the past quarter of the day? What has the market been doing in the past couple of days this week, right? Usually when you get some perspective on what's going on, you can usually build out what to expect. Now, we also use top-down analysis to make sure we can hone in on specific areas, right, of opportunity as relates to our strategy, okay? Our strategy is the BC30 strategy, and we want to hone in on those areas because with the BC30 strategy, you need specific areas of consolidation, specific areas where liquidity is more likely to reach, right? So that's what we're looking for, and that's the whole point of why we do top-down analysis, obviously to see where we are in the market, but also to position ourselves to figure out where are those opportunities, where are they lying, so that we can now dig deeper into them and eventually build out possible entries so that we can enter into those trades. Okay, so let's get into our top-down analysis with gold over here. And I'm going to start at the daily, all right? Why do I not start at the monthly? Why do I not start at the weekly? I don't feel like it's completely applicable as to what I'm doing for a day trade. If I was more of a swing trader, perhaps, yeah. But I think going to the daily is enough to see what's going on in the market. So naturally, I'm going to now look for areas of support and resistance, or supply and demand as well. We're going to look for areas of support and resistance. Now, naturally, I would just focus on this area over here. But because I also want to show you different examples of opportunities I probably would have gotten into and taken. So I'm going to start a little further back, even though it's not applicable to current price, right? Because we want examples, obviously. Okay, so I'm going to start from here, and I'm going to notate all of the areas of support and resistance that I see. Okay, so I obviously see an area of resistance here. Price came to this area before it dropped. So I'm going to do this, and I'm not going to just leave that area just right here. I'm going to drag it across some, okay? Just because these areas tend to be significant in the future, okay? So I'm dragging this area across, okay? Now, I'm going to continue to look, and as we see, price came all the way down here before it reversed and came up to the upside. And same thing, I'm going to drag that across, all the way across, okay? And then we did say we're looking at most recent price, okay? I'm going to also take note of this area where price got to, drag that just about there, and I'm going to keep dragging this across over here, okay? And let's look at more recent, what's going on more recently. We have our overall resistance, meaning our all-time high, okay? We have another high that was made over here, okay? All right, price also came around up here before it fell down, so we have multiple areas, okay? We have a slight area of support over here, okay? And I'm going to show you, it looks messy, it may look like a whole lot, but there's a method to the madness, and as we go down lower time frames, we are going to see what the method is, okay? So we're going to go to the 4-hour, and we're going to do the same thing. We're going to do the same thing. We're going to mark off all of the areas that we see, right? Let me just extend this further because obviously I want to make sure I cover everything, okay? And I'm going to just take a look to see what other areas I might have missed back here, right? So I'm going to go right back here, and I'm going to fill in other areas, other potential areas, okay? All right, so we have here, right? We have a smaller area over here and over here. And if you're wondering, why did I put this area of support over here, especially when the wicks went all the way down here? Now, this is going to be a rule that I need you to grasp. When you see an accumulation of wicks in the area, right, you need to be careful how you take note of that, because wicks, although they're not, I wouldn't say as significant as the body of the candle, but there is some significance to a wick, right? Which is why usually what I try to do is, if we have some long wicks coming from certain candles and they create some kind of area, I like to take about half of the wick, right? About half of the wick I consider as far as an area of either support or resistance, right? I like to take at least half of the wick, but what matters most to me is, you see these bodies, the bodies of the candle, the accumulation of the bodies of the candle, that to me is the true support. Again, it doesn't mean that the wicks are insignificant, but the body of the candle is the part that's really, really significant to me, okay? Because that's, again, where price opened and closed at. All right, let's continue to some more examples that we can identify on the charts, okay? And look, it's okay if you don't readily see these things. I've been doing this for years, so I readily see these things, even the things that most traders wouldn't notate as areas of support, resistance, right? This to me is an area of support and resistance. Why is that? Because we have this area, this accumulation over here where price struggled to continue going up, right? It came down and struggled to continue going down over here, okay? But that becomes significant, and why do I drag the area across, right? Is because you see how it eventually becomes future support, right? Once resistance, future support. And same thing vice versa. Once support over here, future resistance over here, okay? These areas are very, very powerful. Very, very significant, very, very powerful. And you can continue to apply them to multiple places, guys. Right over here, right? We have a small accumulation right over here. Let me just fix that box. And we got below that as well. All we're doing is boxing in price. That's all we're doing. Continuing to box in price over and over and over and over again. We're boxing in price. That's all we're doing, okay? And over here, and I'll stop here. I could keep going, but I'll stop here. I think we have plenty of examples to dig through, okay? I'm gonna do it one last time on the 1 hour, and then we'll see how significant our top-down analysis becomes, okay? Okay, so now in the 1 hour, I'm gonna be even more refined, right, than the 4 hour, even more refined. So those smaller areas, right, I'm looking at those as well. I'm looking at the smaller areas. I'm looking at these areas, right? Things that a lot of traders tend to ignore sometimes. Looking at these areas, all right, continue to look. Over here, yeah, we could say over here, I'm looking at this area over here, okay, this area over here. Let me just extend that across. Let me just extend that across a little more, okay, and just like that, okay, and we'll go through just the examples we currently have, all right? So now we're going to the main time frame, okay? Now we are on the 30-minute time frame. Now all the work that we've done in doing our top-down analysis finally comes significant here, because this is our execution time frame, okay? This is the time frame where we execute and apply the BC30 strategy. So we've done all of this work to mark off all of these areas of opportunity. And even on the 30-minute, you may find more areas of opportunity. So that's completely fine to continue to mark off areas of support and resistance on the 30-minute time frame, okay? So what now I do is I go to my area, and remember, we have to consider the fact that this hasn't happened yet, right? We have to consider the fact that this hasn't happened yet. So we're not seeing what's ahead. All we see is that there's an accumulation. So let's put ourselves as best as possible in a real-time environment, right? So all we see is an accumulation. So then my next step, the next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to put an alert above this area and below this area. My alerts are not currently working because I'm on the replay mode, but that's what I would do. I would put my alert above and below, and I want to know when is there going to be a break in that area. Eventually there's a break in that area, right? And we're going to play that out to see when the break happened. Okay, as we play that out, all right, the break happened right over here. And this is our breaking candle. Here's our breaking candle. And with the BC30 strategy, because we did our job in top-down analysis, and we understand that this is the breaking candle and this is the candle of momentum, now we can implement our BC30 strategy because we have all parameters that are set, right? We have a breaking candle, the body of the candle closed above the area of resistance, and we have a candle that has started pushing beyond the breaking candle. We enter on that candle after the breaking candle as it's pushing beyond, right? And we ride that up for a decent amount, and that would be a winning trade, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, that would be a good win using the BC30 strategy. Okay, being that this video is more about top-down analysis, I just want to show you how we continue this cycle all throughout. Okay, so all throughout, as we get into this accumulation as well, we're going to see, and I'll zoom out so you can see, we're going to see again how this becomes significant. All right, and we could continue this all throughout. Okay, next example we have over here, we have a breaking candle right over here. This is the candle that fully broke out. Body of the candle closed. We enter and then we ride it to that zone over here. Okay, another win. Continuing on with the BC30 strategy, over here we have our breaking candle right over here. We enter for a small buy, not a lot of room because you have the area right up here, which is probably going to be your TP, but you can scalp that for a small win. Okay, and we can continue. Let's continue to find more examples. So this area over here is definitely an area of support, but unfortunately we would not have entered because this candle, this breaking candle, ends up closing all the way to the next zone. It is way too late to enter this trade, so this is a no trade, so there's no money lost either. All right, but just got to be honest of situations where you're going to miss opportunities because you have to wait for that confirmation. In the long run, you'll be okay. So let's look for one more clean example, right? Consolidation area. One last example right over here. We have a good consolidation area over here. Okay. And we have a good support over here. All right, we boxed in price in here and we're waiting for a clear break. Okay, you can say if you took it on this break, you would have gotten a little bit of drawdown, but ultimately you would have had a successful trade over here. Would have entered on this next candle, little bit of drawdown, very little bit of drawdown, but ultimately that is a successful trade, as you can see. Right? So this is how we use top-down analysis to our advantage. We continue the analysis in the entry time frame, but ultimately all the work we did allows us to be set up for success to implement our BC30 strategy. Okay, so I hope you guys understand the importance of top-down analysis. Also, I was supposed to tell you actually why I don't use trend lines anymore. And I know a lot of people in their analysis, they like to use these trend lines. And look, I don't think there's anything necessarily wrong with the trend lines, but to me, and as I just clear up this chart a little bit so you can see it clearer, but to me, the trend lines aren't as significant as the areas of support and resistance. Can you use them? Absolutely. Will you be able to win trades through them sometimes? Yeah, absolutely. But I realize that areas of communication are much more powerful and they are in a surplus versus a trend line. This trend line here on the 4 hour, I'm not necessarily seeing any action until price reaches the trend line. So let's count how many times price reaches the trend line. Over here, 1, 2, 3, and let's say 4 over here, right? 4 times between this entire area. Between this entire area, we have 4 times. But how many areas of support and resistance, right, and opportunities can I get in this area? If we really went in and looked at how many areas we can get within this entire area, this entire shaded area, let's take a look, right? We're on the 30-minute. Let's see how many areas can we find in this entire shaded area. Once we get more than 4 areas, then we definitely have more opportunities, right? So we have an opportunity obviously over here, so that's 1. We have an opportunity over here, this entire area, that's 2. This would be considered another opportunity, this small accumulation area, right over here. I know it may be hard to see, but it's over here and over here, okay? And then price eventually broke through to the upside, okay? I know it's very small, hard to see, but it does exist, doesn't make it insignificant. Price eventually broke up and then gave us a small opportunity. So that's 2, that's 3 actually. Right over here, after the gap, you have another, right? Another area of accumulation or consolidation, however you want to call it, right? And then we have a BC30 set up again. That's 4, okay? And we can go on and on and on and continue to find these areas. I never get tired of finding these areas. So basically what I'm trying to say is, for the amount of times you'll have to wait for price to get to a trend line to react for either a retest or this or that, I have been able to execute on many trades, on quality trades, and obviously my confirmations are strong, which allows me to continue to win these trades, okay? So I hope you guys gained some knowledge in this video. I hope you guys really gained some insight on how to use top-down analysis to your advantage, because ultimately you cannot, it's not just about the trade, not just about the strategy, but also the setup to make sure you can implement that thing is very, very important as well. Okay, guys? So make sure you take your top-down analysis seriously, take it to the next level. And if you gain value from this video, please like, share, and subscribe. I'd appreciate it, guys. Until next time, peace.